Yep, that's everybody. All
Perfect.
right, all right. So we should start getting.
Thanks for joining me, mate.
You're more than welcome, man. More than
How's
welcome. You know,
how's things going with you? You back in the UK now?
no, man, in Portugal.
Still in
This is my
Portugal?
yeah. This is my fifth, I think, fifth week now.
Damn.
You know, so it's yeah, it's not easy, man. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work. But but it's good. You know, I mean, I think Dillian, he's done the right thing, man. He's you know, he's packed up. He's come over here. He knew it was coming, and you know, he just wants to do his job and just be a pro and just train. You know, we're training every day, and we're working on a lot of different things. So you know, hope you know, Dylan always turns up anyway. But obviously, you know, there's I think he's brought me in because he knows I'm more defensive, and Mark is offensive like Dillian. So yeah, the mix has been really good. I mean, I get on really well with Mark as well, so it's been good.
How's his attitude been since the fight got postponed? Because obviously, you know what, things have didn't go well for him in the last year
Mm.
or so, and
Yeah,
obviously he finally got this big fight against a former world champion Povetkin, and then
yeah,
you know this virus had to come along and ruin that. But has he been keeping like positive in camp?
yeah. I mean, listen, we everybody had to expect some issues regarding dates, and we don't know when the government's going to give the go ahead, and then following that, you don't know what the British Boxing Board are going to do. They're not just going to just jump straight back into it because, for obvious reasons, you know, the doctors and nurses are needed at the hospitals. You know, you can't have a couple of ambulances at boxing events when people are dying. So
Yeah.
everyone's got to tread very carefully. I know everyone's missing boxing, but we just got to be sensible, you know. And nothing happens before its time. I mean, I think this is for me personally. This has actually given me even more time to understand and gel with Dillian. You know, the last camp was very short. You know, we'd been working throughout the summer, but we weren't actually expecting to go out to Saudi. I mean, that was like a last minute thing. I think we had about 2.5, 3 weeks, and he just called me and said, "Yeah, we're going out." You know, he'd rather just take a fight and just get a fight under his belt. And looking back on it now, it was a good call because you don't know when you're actually going to be going back out again. So smart move, and again coming out here, smart move. But you know, the more time I get to spend with him, then you know, the more I can impress what I want to see him doing in the ring. It's an exceptional fighter, really, really is. I know he's really offensive minded, but he's very, very clever. Um, I've got a lot of pros in my gym. Only one or two of them, maybe a couple of them, have got the IQ that Dillian has. I know everyone doesn't always get to see it, but there's a reason why he gets results, and there's a reason why a lot of guys just won't fight him. You know, I've been around boxing so long now that when I get in the ring with somebody, I understand and know what they've got, and I can't understand why opponents would struggle with him. It's very difficult to work out. So you know, it's just experience. The more experience he has, the more time he has, the more dangerous he's going to be. So this this delay, I don't think is going to affect him at all. I think he's because he's one of those guys that's staying active, and we're focusing on boxing nearly every day. He'll be fine.
Before we move on, there's one question from Jermaine. He said, "How has Dillian found it with the limited sparring with heavyweights?"
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the sparring is really that limited because there's guys out here as well. But what you don't want to do is gamble. You know, at the moment, the where we're staying, it's a resort. It has everything. I mean, it's got massive fields. It's got a big gym. We've all got our own rooms and so on and so forth. So, and because it's closed to the public, it's just us here. You know, if you bring in other sparring partners now, you don't know what they could be bringing with you. You know, everyone here is healthy. And at this stage, it wasn't worth the gamble. It's going to cost quite a lot to go and get these guys tested to bring them in. So best to do that when the time's right. And you know, really, I think 4 weeks is good enough sparring before your fight day. I think if you're sparring all the time, it's not healthy. it's not healthy getting hit in the head all the time, like week in, week out. It should be at a certain period in your training where you trained. I always say to guys, when you start camp, you should be training to get fit for sparring. Then when you start sparring, you're getting fit to fight. They're two different things. Jumping straight into sparring isn't always the best thing to do unless, you've got a certain level of fitness. So I think him concentrating on it, I mean, out here he's got his strength and conditioner, he's got his physio. So everything's being done, everything is as it should be, So it's no different to any other camp. We're just working every day. And to me, a boxer should be in a gym every day. If you can get in a gym, obviously, you should be in a gym every day. Fight or no fight.
Totally agree. I hope all Jav's fighters are listening to that. Should be in the gym every day, guys.
Well, I'll be back soon, so I hope so, because anyone who's not fit, they're not going to get my time. I'm already being very, very selective. I've got other coaches in my gym, and, I'm looking at big fights now. I've been in boxing over 35 years. I don't have time to waste or mess around. The decision to turn pro, me and Nick had a long conversation. It wasn't an easy one because I wanted to turn pro maybe 10 years ago. But we thought, running our own amateur gym would serve us well later on. So we took that sacrifice, and my name's only ringing around now because I spent a longer period in the amateurs than I actually wanted to. But we're here now, and I'm ready for big fights. I love title fights. I get excited by being in big events. And I like either eliminators or title fights on any level. I love English title fights, British title fights, Commonwealth, European World, whatever. I get the same buzz from all of them, but I like meaningful fights. Let's put it that way.
Of course. Let's go through some of your fighters. I'm going to start with a guy that I love watching. I'm a big fan of him. Future superstar. We've had this conversation, me and you. 11-0. Youssef Khoumari. I know he's in the convo. Big up, Youssef. Yep. I want to rewind back to the 7th of March in Luton. He beat Carrero, TKO.
Yeah.
Vicious body shot. I wasn't there that night, but I streamed it legally on someone's Insta Live. But I was there in spirit. But I watched the whole event. What's next for this kid? Because he's just got too much talent. I think it's time for a title fight. The one before that didn't go to plan. So what's next for Youssef?
Yeah, I think since Youssef turned pro in 2017, I think his career has gone. It couldn't have gone any better. It's been perfect. His last performance was really good on the 7th, as you said. The fight with Liam was really good. I mean, obviously, I've got no arguments. He won that fight by at least 3 rounds. And winning a fight by 3 rounds in a 10-rounder, to me, is unanimous. I mean, I still can't understand it. They had a draw. But, he fought a good kid. They both had very similar records. I wish Liam all the best. I do like watching him. He's fun to watch. And at some point in their careers, they probably will meet again. For Youssef, I think he's done everything that could be asked of him as a small hall fighter. And he needs to be fighting on TV. He looks better than 50% of the boxers that I see fighting on TV. I think he's done his time on small halls, and it's time for him to go and test himself in front of a big crowd. He's been on a couple of big cards, on the undercard of the Gross Cox a few years ago at Wembley. He's been on the Ultimate Boxer. I think he's been on a David Hayes show as well. So he's had good experience, and I always say it takes 3 years to understand what it is to be a professional fighter. He understands that his ticket sales have always been good. His fan base is still growing. And whenever I go to any press conference, they all know exactly who Youssef Khoumari is. So it's just about what he's going to do now. His contract has expired with Steve Goodwin. Whether he's going to continue with Steve or whether one of the big boys are going to come in for him, I don't know. But I expect to hear something soon. I haven't sat down and had a conversation with him yet because I'm out here busy with Dillian. But when I get back, that'll be one of the first things that I need to get done. But yeah, he's he's ready to go.
Is there a particular name that you would love for him to fight next? Someone that will give him a test?
There's quite a few guys at the moment. I like the Zelfa Barrett fight. Obviously a dream. I'd love Josh Warrington. That kind of fight, I think, would obviously put his name on the map. I think that's a really good start for Youssef. And he would have learned a lot from the Liam Dillian fight. So, yeah, that'd be a great fight. But obviously he needs to work his way up. He's still young. He's young enough to fight for a couple of youth titles first, because you can fight with him up to 25 years old. He's only 23, I think. So we still got a good 18 months to play about and see where we go. But after that, then we'll definitely press the button and push him forward. But yeah, he's ready to go.
We look forward to it. I can't wait to see who he signs for. If he re-signs with Steve Goodwin, the big boys come in, then what an achievement that will be. And
yeah, Steve's done a fantastic job with Youssef. He's got him on big cards and he's got him out regularly. And he's never not boxed on a date that was set. You can't ask any more from a good manager. So all respect to Steve. He's done a really good job with Youssef.
So moving on, I was literally going to get to the next guy, and he just joined us. Big up K Prosper. So let's go back to that same night, main event, hometown, back to his hometown to defend his title against Bilal Rahman, won by UD.
Yeah.
But Billy afterwards had a few comments saying that it was the wrong decision. How did you see that fight, Jav? And Nick?
I thought from round 1 to 3, I thought it was very, very competitive. I thought Bilal made a really good start. But then after that, from round 4 onwards, K was bullying him, really hurting him with good body shots. He was timing some counters really well, missing a lot of shots as well, but that's what you'd expect when you have someone like Bilal who's very, very tall, rangy, awkward. K did everything that we worked on in training camp. And I think this is the second fight in a row where the sparring has been tailored so well that he's performed the same way he's performed in sparring. I brought in really hard guys from the spar, Chris Congo, big up Chris Congo, and he's one of the best guys out there. And he had some really good sparring with K. I think they sparred about 3-4 times to get ready for this fight. So he was ideal. I mean, to me, he's different. He's a different level to Bilal. And he's bigger than K as well. So I said to K, if you can manage Chris and it can be competitive, then you'll be right in this fight. But K, the scary part is that K is peaking. He's 34 or 35, and he's looking very, very dangerous. I mean, what all K really needed when he joined IQ was he need to learn patience, and he need to spar top quality fighters. So the first thing I did with K was I got him to spar Bradley Skeet. Then I took him down to go and spar Luke Campbell. He sparred Ricky Burns. So
some
when you
top fighters there.
Yeah, when you spar those kind of guys, then you raise your game, and then you also get to understand how good you actually are or actually can be. So that was the reason behind that. K, the other fighters I've had, I've taken for good sparring before, but I think that's what was missing from K. K is he's very, very confident right now. I would put K in any fight with any boxer. Any boxer. That's British level, European level. I would put K in those fights. And he's got a very, very good chance to beat any of them. He's very awkward. He hits very hard. And he's an orthodox fighter that can now fight full time as a southpaw. He's like a Rubik's Cube. It's going to be very difficult for anybody, to deal with K. And we're gunning for the big boys now. I mean, we want the Sean Dodd fight. He's a matchroom boxer, or he's been on matchroom shows quite a few times. I know he's got a big fan base. We want him. Robbie Davis Jr., another great fight.
That would be an epic fight against Robbie Davis. Another one is Sam Maxwell, the European champ.
Yeah, I think any of those kind of fights, I think that's where K should be going next. I don't think you can ask K to do any more. He had a very hard draw against Sam Mason, then beat him in the rematch, and now he's defending his belt against a fighter that no one really wanted to really get in the ring with. And he's beating him unanimous. And so I think there's no point K really looking down. He needs to be looking forward now and getting a TV fight. At this stage in his career, anything that's offered, me personally, I'd reject it. If it's not a TV fight or not a big fight, sorry, because we might, we might only have like a large stadium fight that's probably not going to happen for a good 12 months. But a fight behind closed doors on a big platform, 100%. So that's one of my main priorities when I get back is to source and find that kind of sit down with Steve and find that kind of fight for K. That would be one of my main priorities.
Okay, not to build any controversy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that type of guy, but
Mm-hmm.
K, I've spoken to K. He knows the fight I want to see. Him and O'Hara Davis. That's the fight I really want to see, and I pray it happens because that will be a dust up. That will be a classic right there.
That's a very good fight. I mean, I talked to O'Hara. I mean, I've had Junior Sabre at my gym for a while when he was going to make his debut, and obviously he couldn't go any further with his career. So I encouraged him to become a coach. So he got his amateur coaching badge, and he's looking to get his pro badge soon. And O'Hara, obviously, Junior Sabre is very, very close to O'Hara, and I got a lot of time for O'Hara. I like O'Hara. O'Hara he's already been in big fights. Kay's looking to get into a big fight. But if that fight can happen at some point down the road, that's a great fight. They're both big punchers, both very clever in the ring. I think Kay can do more. I think Kay's more versatile to me than O'Hara. But O'Hara's got that big right hand. So it's very interesting. I don't blame you for liking that fight. It's a good fight. It's a good fight.
Moving on, another big talent in your stable as well, Yasii boy. 5-0.
Yep.
Just before this epidemic happened, finally got a fight under his belt because, if I'm not mistaken, was the fight before that postponed, his fight?
Yeah. Had a bit of a problem with the fight before. One of the coaches of the boxer he's supposed to be fighting, his fighter came in very heavy, so I rejected the fight. And then he was obviously, I heard he was doing a lot of talking at your call. But I wouldn't be entertaining that fight again. So we moved on. Yaser had a very good performance. Just did a 4-round to keep ticking over. And again, you're actually calling the fighters in the right order because Yaser, K, and Youssef, they all at least managed to fight in March. The rest of them, unfortunately, they're going to be out of the ring for a long, long time before they're back in. So
yeah,
those three in particular, if I got a fight for them in August, at whatever level, more than likely I'll take it. The others, obviously, you'd have to hesitate because either they don't have enough experience or the options will be a bit more limited. But yeah, those three are ready to go. But yeah, Yaser's 24, I think, 24. Again, I'd love to get a youth title fight for Yaser. He's got a year to do it. I'd love for him to get it under his belt because those titles, I think they're very important for a young boxer because you get experience of fighting a European guy, world guy. You can get a Mexican, you can get a guy from Denmark, France, wherever. But that can make or break a fighter at this point in their career. If you look at the other fighters, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, those guys, they won youth titles before they got involved with the governing body and worked their way up. That's how I've always looked at how I want my younger fighters to go. Obviously, Steve does things a bit different because he likes the domestic fights. He likes the Southern area, the English. It's not really my lane, but I understand it. I've learned to get a better grasp of it over time by having a really good relationship with Steve. I talk to Steve every week, and like I said, most of my fighters are signed with Steve, so we get on really, really well. But yeah, I mean that's an option for Yaser that I want to try and make that happen. I mean, Yaser's almost at the end of contract as well, so I haven't had a conversation with Yaser about what he's going to do next. But he's got time. But as long as regardless of what he decides to do, whether he decides to stay with Steve or go somewhere else, I'll be looking at a youth title for him within the next fight or two.
Staying on Yaser, I wanted to ask you, what is the plan with Yaser in his weight? Do you want to keep him at welterweight or can he go down at super lightweight? I
think with Yas, I'd prefer him to be a light welterweight, but what I'm not going to do is force him down to that weight, and then he can't perform. Playing about weights is very dangerous. If he does it the right way, I think he'd look better at like welter. But if it's going to, like I said, if it's going to be a real strain, a real struggle, bear in mind, you have to remember, if he was older, then you could say maybe, get him down to that weight and see how he gets on. But you see, you're fighting time because he's growing. So we might be trying to pull him down, and yet his body's going up. So I don't mind testing it. Maybe his next fight, if I don't get the youth title fight, maybe a weight in between, see how he feels. And if he's happy with it, then yeah, we're going to like welterweight. But the welterweights are bigger than Yaser. He's not that tall, but Yaser is very, very quick, very fast, very flashy. It's going to be difficult to beat Yaser over 10 rounds or 12 rounds as long as he does the training is fit, because he's going to need to be really fit with the way he boxes. But yeah, he's as long as Yaser does the right things at the right time, he listens. He's going to have a very good career.
Moving on, a fight that couldn't happen. I think Liam Dillon has a rabbit foot under his pillow because he just avoided another L. Dennis Wahome, Dennis the Menace, was meant to fight him for the English title, but obviously because of this epidemic, it got cancelled. Is it scheduled that when they reschedule this, that's the next fight, or it's unknown?
Yeah, to be fair to Dillian, before the whole show got cancelled, Dennis did pick up an injury, so we did have to actually get the fight rescheduled. So that date that was out there ringing around, that was on our end. I didn't want Dennis to go into that type of fight with that kind of fighter unless he was fit. But I think, talking to Steve, it's unlikely the fight will happen in September. I think more than likely maybe November, December. But I can't wait for that fight. I think that's going to be fantastic clash of styles. I think I've got a feeling that Dennis is going to stop him. But we'll have to see. Liam's got a very, very good work rate. And he's actually better. He's better when you see him close up than what you're thinking from sitting way back in the stands. He's quite effective. He does cute little things in there as well. He's not just a come forward fighter that's just reckless. He's thinking about what he's doing, and he has a really good engine. But I think again, Dennis, guy that can switch, guy that's both is heavy handed, a lot like Kay. I think Dennis, if he does the right things at the right time, he might put Dillian away. So that's again, I was really looking forward to that fight. Again, I don't have to worry about Dennis because he's already got a fight that's scheduled. And at 29, I think he's 29 or 30. It's a perfect fight for Dennis at this stage. And once Dennis wins that fight, he should be looking at one of the big boys as well. He's at that age where he shouldn't. Once he wins that fight, he shouldn't be looking at another small show fight. He should be going for one of the guys, one of the super featherweights and Matchroom or MTK or whatever. But we'll focus on Liam for now. It's going to be a tough fight.
Speaking of MTK, Spencer Fearon was just on. I don't know if he still is. So maybe that's something that you guys can work on. Make a deal for a fight.
What's that? Say again?
Speaking of MTK Global, you just said Matchroom or MTK. Spencer Fearon was just on now on our chat. So maybe that's something that he can make happen if everything goes well.
Yeah, Spencer's a cool guy. Very, very knowledgeable.
Oh yeah.
I got time for him. But again, I've met all these guys. I met him years ago actually on the train, about maybe 9-10 years ago, and I told him what I was going to do then. So he keeps promising to come down to my gym, but I know when he gets time he'll come down. But I know he gets on very well with Dillian. Dillian speaks very highly of him. So it's funny, over time all the pieces start to fit together. Everybody knows everyone in boxing. So it's all good.
Jermaine just said, what about Hulio Chavez? Any news?
Yeah, Hulio, he had a really good fight lined up, a good 50-50. Unfortunately, his opponent got himself in a bit of trouble, and I think he's gone away for a while. So that fight will never happen. By the time that guy comes back to box, I expect Hulio would have moved on. I think with Hulio, because he's had 120 amateur fights, I think four, maybe. I think he's had about 4 pro fights now, 4 or 5. I think I think one more, and then I think he should go for a Southern area. He said he's comfortable at middleweight. He said he found it a bit of a strain at light middle, so that's the title we'll be looking at. And he's very, very skillful, very experienced. There's no need to really hang around any longer. Someone who's had 120 amateur fights doesn't need to be hanging around with too many journeyman fights.
Of course not.
He needs to be getting in now. And yeah, I rate Hulio very highly. He's skilled. I've taken Hulio to quite a few gyms for sparring, and he's always looked good. You know, he's even when he had to give away weight, when he had to spar the likes of Jordan Joseph, he can handle it. Just a very, very good boxer.
Is that title vacant at the moment? The Southern Area middleweight title?
I'm not even sure. I'm not sure. I think middleweight. I think it was Brad Pauls who had the middleweight title at Southern Area. I think he might have vacated it now. I know Linus has got the English. But, you know, those guys are on like 12, 13, 14 fights. They're probably going to vacate and move on. And then hopefully Hulio can jump in and if Steve can try and arrange a vacant title fight or be a first defence, we'll take that. No problem.
Another guy that I really rate this guy. The first time I saw him was on the K Prosper undercard last year. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, he went for the Southern Area title. It didn't go to plan. Unfortunately as well, in Luton, he lost by points to Campbell, and that's the Camden caretaker himself, Robbie Chapman.
Yeah,
I know you rate him as well. What's any news on him?
Yeah, I think Robbie. I mean, before the Brad Pauls fight, Robbie decided that he wanted to be a journeyman. You know, he's more interested in making money. His ticket sales were low. Sometimes he had to dig into his own pocket to pay the promoter so that he could fight, pay his opponent. And he told me he didn't want to do that anymore. I've spoken to Steve. Steve says, don't worry, I'm going to keep him busy. And so Robbie's happy. You know, he's happy to be making his money. He had a fight with Brad Pauls, doing very, very well early. But I think the problem for Robbie in that fight is that because he'd already decided to be a journeyman, you know, he couldn't really put up the kind of challenge that I know that he can. I think that Robbie's as good as those guys. But you see in boxing, you know, you have to be fully focused and motivated. If you want to go for titles, you go for titles. If you want to be a journeyman, you need to be a journeyman. It's just, you've got to be in the right mental space. And Robbie, because he'd already made up his mind what he was doing, and then that opportunity came up, you know, Robbie took it. So it was a very good fight for Brad. It was in his hometown, had a lot of supporters. I think the first 2 rounds, I honestly thought that Brad was in a lot of trouble. He just couldn't deal with Robbie. You know, Robbie's had quite a few amateur fights. The game plan was going really well, but this guy can bang. As soon as he landed clean on Robbie, and I don't ever see. I mean, he's ever seen Robbie hurt in one amateur fight. You know, he's just very, very durable, Robbie. But when this guy hit him, he got a reaction out of Robbie that's just different. Some guys have just got that power. And you know, I think Robbie went down about 3 or 4 times in that fight. Went to around like round 7, maybe around 7 or 8. But I would have liked it to be stopped just a couple of like a split second before, so he had to take that last shot. But Robbie will always go out on his shield, and you know, I was very proud of his performance. And now he can go on the road, make some money, and then if he changes his mind, he wants to get back in the title race. He's more than capable of doing it. He's one of the better fighters that I have.
Do you think it like, so you're basically saying it's a lack of confidence at the same time as well then?
Robbie's a very, very confident fighter. I mean, especially when you've got Robbie busy. When Robbie came to me, I think maybe 2015, I had Robbie going out as an amateur nearly every week or 2 weeks, and he won about 15 bouts straight in a row. This is what he loves to do. He loves to fight. Pro game was I think it was a culture shot to him. I don't think he expected it to be that difficult to sell tickets and that difficult to work his way up the ladder. So I just think it's a case of timing. I think we'll see how Robbie feels after he's gone this latest journey. If this is what he chooses to do, I'll support him. This is a very, very hard game, boxing. It's best to talk to someone who has the experience before you go and take that leap and decide to go and do this. Because if you can't sell the tickets, you're in a different world. You're flung into 50-50 fights. You become an opponent, or you become just a journeyman. So I would say, do the groundwork first. Build up your fan base and understand what you get yourself involved in.
Another guy that I had the pleasure of meeting, you brought him to the Bells and Whistles show, and I was very disappointed that his opponent smartly pulled out of the fight. I would as well. Is Big Shaq? Whatever happened to this guy?
Oh, he came to you. He came to you with Nick, didn't he?
Yeah.
I don't think I was.
And he was. Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, he was meant to fight at the K Prosper fight in September. But I remember one event, and we got there, and I think Nick said, yeah, the guy just pulled out.
Yeah, I think that I spoke to Steve. Steve was having a problem finding opponents for him for his debut. I think the first couple of times he was scheduled, the fighters pulled out. But to be honest with you, it's best to ask Nick about Sheikh, because I don't really deal with Sheikh at all. He's not one on my books. Nick trains him, so I'm not sure what they're going to do next. The conversation I have with Nick. Is
he someone that maybe you will let Dillian spar?
He's asked me before. I honestly don't think it's a good idea at this stage. I think Dillian's a completely different level. I don't think he'd learn anything from that. There's a lot of guys out there that he can spar that are levels way below Dillian, and try and get his experience there. But again, he's got, from what I've seen, a lot of heart. He's quite light on his feet for a big guy. So yeah, hopefully he'll get his pro debut. If not this year, then hopefully next year.
Nick just wrote now. He said he'll be back in the new year.
Yeah, which is so that makes sense.
Look forward to that. Another fighter, a very, very talented young lady. We were proud when she won the Winter Box Cup, the 51 kilo, and it was live on BBC as well. That's Shannon Ryan. Any news on Shannon Ryan? What's next for her? Any plans for maybe next year to turn pro?
Yeah, again with Shannon, I mean, I haven't got involved with the amateurs for over 4 years now. It's been a long time. I brought my guys up with me to the pros when I turned pro. So she's trained by one of my other coaches, Coach G, doing a brilliant job with her. Nick's keeping her busy, getting her fights. G's training her and making sure he's there in all her corners. Really proud of her progress, and she's willing to fight anybody. I think she's going to be a real threat to anybody if she continues doing what she's doing. She's young. Female boxing is thriving right now.
Oh yeah.
And, I would give it another year or 2 years. I honestly don't know what path she's going to choose. I know she's going to try and get the GB squad, or if she wants to go pro, I don't know. But that will be G's decision. Out of respect to G, he's the one that trains her. So, but yeah, I'm very happy with Shannon. I mean, she's one of our amateurs at IQ, and obviously the better she does, the better it looks on everybody. So, very, very pleased with her. And she spars everybody. She's even called me out a couple of times. So yeah, I like Shannon. I like her.
Well, she looks like she can handle herself.
Yeah, she can. She can.
And Santos is saying Neon Samuels, question mark.
Again, you have to ask Nick. Neon's trained by Nick. Neon had a good pro debut, one of the best pro debuts I've actually seen since I've become a pro coach. Great fight. He had to really dig deep. But again, Neon's a pleasure to be around. He's just respectful, never fuss. There's never a fuss, never a complaint. Really happy that he's at IQ. He's doing some really good work with Nick, and these guys will take advantage of the time they've got, and come back. And I think he was supposed to fight in March, but he'll be out as soon as these shows start again. Neil will be straight back out again. So really good, really great guy. Love having him in the gym.
Fantastic. Moobs at Tiger Bay, great get together, guys. What are the 3 things you do to manage so many boxers in your camp?
What do we do? I think with me and Nick, I think the key is consistency. Um, the training is always consistent. I mean, we get our amateurs out regularly. Our pros go out regularly, and the team is strong. The pros is obviously me and Nick, and then we've got other coaches in the gym. We've got a good strength conditioning team. We've got Dave, does most of the strength conditioning. And we've got good guys around us. I mean, anything I need help with, Don Charles is always there. He's like my big brother in boxing. And yeah, we've got a good strong team. And boxing is just competitive, but the most important thing is that you win, you lose, and you draw together. You should learn from each of those scenarios, and that's what we keep doing. That's what we keep building.
Nick said communication is key.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the communication is better with Nick than me. He's got more patience than I have. But yeah, definitely, communication is definitely key. Definitely. But I'm close. I'm close to all my boxers. We apart from me being out here for the past 5-6 weeks, normally we're in the gym every day, and they've got a very good schedule. I send a schedule out every Friday or Saturday. They know what they're doing the following week. They all get their own individual time. Yeah, again, consistency.
Is there any fighters I've left out that you want to talk about, Jav?
What's going on? Say again?
Is there any fighters that I've left out that you want to maybe mention in your stable?
Oh, my God. We've just got so much at the moment. I mean, I spend a lot of time with Dennis, spend a lot of time with Youssef, spend a lot of time with Kay, Yaser, Hulio. I think the only one I've mentioned so far, you haven't asked me about, is Adrian Redman. He's my super middleweight. I've got so much time for Adrian. Adrian's been with us from the beginning, from when we opened our amateur club. He's 5-0, and he's another one. I would like him to jump straight into a Southern Era fight in his next fight. Unfortunately, didn't get to fight on, I think, the 21st of March because the 14th was Steve's last show.
Yeah.
Before Corona. And yeah, he's ready. He's ready to go. Adrian's got a good loyal fan base. Always does the same numbers, and his guys guys and girls, they usually buy ringside tickets. So his people are always close to the ring, and that's going to serve him well. So yeah, I look forward to Adrian doing something big next year. It will mean a lot for Adrian to win a Southern Era belt. Simply because he's been with me and Nick for so long. He's one of my first. Along with one of my other kids, Shaquille Johnson and Tajay Williams. Adrian was one of my first, and I started with those three really, and then shortly after that met Dennis. So those four were really the start of Neasden Amateur Boxing Club.
Jav, realistically, how do you see the future of boxing right now? With this epidemic, we don't know, obviously, but in your opinion, when can you see a show coming back with a crowd?
I can't see that happening until 2021. I think it's going to take a long time for people to get the confidence to go out to a huge gathering like an O2, like your call. I think it's going to take time. That's why I'm pushing fights behind closed doors, because otherwise we're not going to have any boxing. If football's pushing that agenda, basketball's pushing that agenda, or why can't boxing? It's a smart alternative, and it might be a blessing to a lot of fighters, because the way Eddie's talking is that he would like to see more domestic fights and more competitive fights. Well, if that's the case, then some of the guys that I've got and some of the guys that I'm looking at on the way up, put them in with each other. We're going to get good fights. And if they set a good price market for pay-per-view, if you're paying £40 to go and support someone you're aligned with, if you're a fan of a boxer or family related and you're paying £40, you can pay £10 to watch him on box office or pay-per-view. I don't see why not.
100%.
Hopefully, then the boxer could actually it might have actually been better for some fighters, because they're killing themselves to sell tickets so they can pay the promoter and pay the opponent. they might end up getting a small salary out of this. You know, if they're on a platform like that, and again, they'll get TV exposure. I think it's wrong for anybody to be negative about the idea of fight behind closed doors, because you have to bear in mind a lot of these fighters have got sponsors. Now, if you're not fighting, then your sponsors have got no reason to go and invest in you or keep paying you monthly. So they should push the agenda. And if we're not going to be able to have these large gatherings, then get these fights on TV. And at least the sponsors are going to have their product advertised on TV. They're going to be more inclined to want to keep pumping money, pushing money your way. You know, the sponsors that I've got, like I say, I'm just so grateful. You know, Tiger Bay is my main sponsor. You know, if it wasn't for them, I couldn't really be doing what I'm doing. Bravo's been fantastic. Another sponsor, Ealing Boards and Timbers. Big shout out to KMT. You know, we've got an agreement. Every time these guys got their title fights, he always puts the money in to help them, support them, either paying for their strength and conditioning or, you know, contributing towards ticket sales. You know, it's just they've been brilliant, and these boxers need their sponsors. So, you know, push this agenda. You know, I've even put out there to Eddie that I'm looking at a couple of his fighters in their domestic fights, and I suggest all my boxers, if they're 5-0, 6-0, you know, wherever they are, if there's fighters in your way, you know, start calling these guys out now, because they are going to start looking for opponents. It's not my job to do that. I'm not a promoter. I'm a coach. You know, it's they've got to find these fights, and then or speak to the promoter, speak to Steve and say, Steve, you know, can you send him an email? You know, I'd like to challenge that guy. There's different ways of going about it, but you have to be creative. You can't sit around and wait for something to happen. You know, no one's going to do that. It's going to take a long time for boxing to recover, and in the meantime, you know, get busy. That would be my advice.
I'm looking into getting into promoting, Jav. Like, I want to look into it. I see myself as the White Don King maybe one day. The first fight I want to promote, and there's a fight that the world wants to see, Xavier Miller and Tunde.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, man. I had to put it in there.
You know, I don't know what it's. Dillian is the ultimate troublemaker. Do you know that? Because Dillian knows him. I told Dillian, no coach can do what I do. I said I'll spar 12 rounds like today, and I said anybody my age and up, I'll take them. And he put on Instagram Live, what about Tunde? So of course I'm going to say, well, include him as well then. So that's where the back and forth started. If Dillian is the instigator, I can imagine what he was like at school. He's the ultimate.
I can't imagine.
And be in the gym every day with him, he just walk around calling everybody a coward all day long. I tell you, Dillian he's funny, man. He's funny, but absolute pleasure to work with. You know, pleasure.
Back to what you said before, Jermaine said, but terrestrial TV should be broadcasting fights at small venues during this time behind closed doors. Nick said, totally agree. And Jermaine said we should reach out to the BBC, ITV and Channel 5 to make these fights happen, to make these domestic bouts.
Yeah, 100%. We should be. It's just, yeah, you have to wonder where the revenue is going to come from. If it's not pay-per-view, then how are you going to pay these fighters? So I think we should definitely reach out. I don't see why not. I don't see why. It's a shame that Steve hasn't really got, a TV deal. You know, we used to have something called, I think it was KO TV a few years ago. It come about 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it doesn't have to be live, but at least they're playing fights from all over the world.
Yeah.
Something like that would be great. But yeah, I'm sure all these guys are looking into these options because the options are so limited now. So yeah.
You would think like there's like over 50 channels even on Freeview, and not one can maybe be like, look, I want to show your fights.
Well, tell Nick and Santos, because we we had a meeting just before I left to come out here. You know, we'd written out the proposal, we'd written out the cost. You know, we were just about to get IQ Boxing Promotions sorted with the British Boxing Board and pay the money in and the bond and so on. So we're going to be signing, between me, Nick and Santos, we're going to be signing an agreement, and that will be the promotion team. And I was hoping to do a show in December and just host and try and promote our boxers. that was the whole idea. But obviously, because of what's happened, we wouldn't gamble with that now. We're definitely looking at 2021. When boxing's gone back to normal, we will do our first show. And I just like to get a feel and a taste of what it'd be like to actually do a show. It's not something that I'm going to have the time to do full time. Not while I'm coaching all these boxers, but we've got the costs written out and we've oversubscribed. So, we're going to get a lot of sponsors on board, and hopefully that'll be the next move. After I get my manager's license, I was just about to get that before this came about as well. I had the date, it was there, but that's obviously been pushed back. But everything's happened for a reason. I've spoken to some promoters while I've been out here, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities coming. So I would say just with IQ, just watch this space.
Don't forget your friends, hey.
Listen, we've all got one big family. Obviously, we sponsor you guys. You're the only company that we actually sponsor, and obviously, the more sponsors we get, and the more we do, and the more we grow, the more I can do for bells and whistles. And I'm really happy to do that. I love what you guys are doing. You've always been really supportive of all our boxers, and that's the point. It's just creating links and everyone just growing together. There's space for everybody in boxing. What I've noticed while I've been in the pro, actually while I was in the amateurs, you had to fight your way in. Me and Nick had to do so many different things. Make sure our boxers are in every tournament. We both had to become judges. Just to understand the culture. And with the pros, it's the same. Once you actually know these people, they're all okay. But before that, they kind of like close the door. But now, all the doors are opening up, and things are growing. So we can do more. I want to be able to do more for my boxers. But at the same time, these things take time. People don't just let you in. Me and Nick have had to work really, really hard with IQ, and we're going to continue to work hard until we, get what we're looking for. Before I retire, I'd like to win a world title. It's what I always wanted to do when I used to box, and unfortunately, I couldn't get my boxing license, so decided to give my time to coaching. So if I win a world title, that would be amazing.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
Even one or all your fighters will win a world title. You put the hard work in, it will happen. Mm-hmm. You just got to believe in God that it will happen.
It's just a case of having a little bit of fortune, getting the opportunities, which is what we're working on now. Is make sure we're with the right people, so we do get that phone call. No matter how good you are, if you don't know the right people, you can't go anywhere in this sport.
That's it.
And I had to learn that through the amateurs, and we're ready to go. We're ready to go.
And going back to what you said before, bells and whistles, we're so grateful for you guys for sponsoring us, and it means a lot. And any help you guys need from us, definitely we're there for you. So we want to thank you for that.
Yeah, 2021, we got a lot of work to do. So a lot of things will be coming. So definitely we're going to continue sponsoring you guys, and whatever you need, just contact me or Nick, and we'll get it done.
Same goes for you guys. Jermaine told me before this, if you need anyone to hold a spit bucket, he's there for you guys. Straight up. But jokes aside, you know what? Like Nick said, we're all family. We're all in this for the same reason. And 2021 will be the year, because you know what? I want this year to be over now.
Yeah. But again, everybody should be taking advantage of this situation. I mean, you've actually got more time than you usually would have. You should be planning, and that's what me and Nick and Santos have done. We've been sitting down planning. I'm out here. I've got we're training in the mornings at 10, and then I'm in my room all basically for the day, just writing out proposals, trying to reach out to more sponsors, and in the evening I'm training Dillian, and then come back and sleep. It's the same routine every day, so I'm making good use of my time, and hopefully when things get back to normal, we'll be in front. If you just sit around and mope and just keep complaining about the situation, then you're going to be behind when things start running again. So you've got to be positive, got to work. Nothing comes without hard work, and me and Nick have been working hard from day one. From the day we created this company, we put in countless hours. There's no paycheck that can come back to us that can make up an amount of hours, 3 hours that we put in. We do it for the love. If I was all about money, believe me, I would have stayed in education. I do this because I've got a dream to fulfill. My coach died when I was very, very young. He had big dreams for me. And I want to honour him and make sure that we do something big in the sport and be remembered. And that's what we're here for. That's
it, man. And you're going to do that. Just go believe.
Yeah, we're definitely, no doubt. Obviously, again, big shout out to Dillian because he's working really hard out here. Again, another one, not complaining, using the time wisely, and that's what every pro boxer should be doing. Working.
Nick said he's still in education.
Well, listen. You know what? Honestly, one day me and Nick are going to sit down and when we've got to where we want to get to, we've got some stories to tell because we both worked in the same school for a long time, and I remember sitting in my office one time when we said one of us is going to have to sacrifice working at the school if we want to build IQ, if we want to build a brand and have time to train fighters full time. It's really, really difficult to go as far as we've gone without having the time, and so I had to make that leap. I'm not going to say I wasn't scared the first 2-3 weeks because I was getting used to a very good salary. At the time I was a Senko, I'd previously been a head teacher, deputy head, and it was a big gamble, but we took it, and I've been taking care of business on the boxing front, and me and Nick, we just support each other. I want Nick to continue growing in education as well, and we're just as a collective, we're just doing what we need to do to move forward. Is that Mr. Obi? Shout out to Mr. Obi. He's got some funny name in it, Gyn. God, but Mr. Obi was actually a head teacher when me and Nick, we were all working in the same school together. So he's like a big brother to me. So respect him as well. But yeah, we're working.
We look forward to it. Jav, thank you for taking your time out to speak to me. Not just me, everybody there. It's been a great turnout. I'm sure everyone enjoyed this. We should do this more often. It helps. It's good for everyone to speak about the sport that we love as well. But you know what? Being in quarantine, it can have an effect on people's mental health. So the fact that we can actually take them away from whatever thoughts they have and go on here and speak about anything, especially when it comes to boxing. We can even speak about football next time. It's great.
Yeah, well, Nick's the football man. I'm not. Nick, actually, Santos and Nick need to have their own football show because those two, they're educated with football like crazy, man. You can have a back and forth with them all day long.
Between you three, to be honest, United, Tottenham, Arsenal, I don't know who's the worst one out of the team. So whatever you guys got to say at the moment is, what I mean?
No, Tottenham's embarrassing, man. They've actually put me off watching football. Because every time I sit down with my dad to go and watch a game now, it's like, yeah, they're doing all right. And then they just lose against an idiot team. And I'm just like, I've had enough of Tottenham, seriously. I've had enough. It's just, they've had so much money pumped into that team and still they can't perform. I'm just tired of the excuses now. And I don't think Arsenal or Man United teams are any better anyway, to be honest. They're all underperforming. It's only really Liverpool and Chelsea that have been in the running for the last few years. So I don't even talk about football. It's embarrassing, honestly.
I'm sure Jermaine will love it. I'll set up with Nick and Santos to do another Instagram live.
What's your team again?
Let's not get started. Chelsea, but more Inter Milan.
Yeah, but what's your Premier League team though?
Oh, Chelsea.
No, you're all right. You look all right. So what, Jermaine? Who's Jermaine got?
Jermaine's Arsenal and Tyrone is Man United.
Jermaine can't talk to me.
Yeah, Jermaine needs to allow it. He needs to hold that spit bucket and keep quiet.
That's a beating stick as well. If you're not Liverpool or Man United or Chelsea, I don't think you should be talking for the last couple of seasons. What is there to talk about? They're all fighting to get into Champions League, and when they get in Champions League, they're not doing anything in there anyway. So waste of time. waste of time, dude. I don't care who's feeding to her, but I don't care.
Instagram is actually telling me we've got 1 minute left. I want to ask you one quick question because I wanted your take on this. Tyson apparently is coming back for exhibition fight. His old coach said if he actually put the work in it, he can knock out Deontay Wilder. Quick thought.
The same guy that quit against Holyfield. I don't want to see him fight again. I ain't got time for Tyson. I don't have time. I don't want to see those guys in the ring again. Honestly, I'm hearing that David Haye wants to come back and have a go.
No. David Haye needs to stay on Dave TV, man. I don't want to see that.
That's up to him. Listen, these guys get paid a lot of money. I don't get any of that money. So if they want to get in the ring, go and fight them. Fight. That's good luck to them. Good luck to them.
Jad, we've got 20 seconds. Thank you again. We're going to do this again in a few weeks, in a month's time. And we'll get Nick on next time as well. And then get Jermaine on to do the interview as well. I'm sure he's got a lot to talk about. I want to thank you. And
hopefully I'll be back in the UK in a couple of weeks. But yeah, been out here for 6 weeks now. So I hope you